This is an artificially aware original production.
It started, as all good things do, with an accident. A misclick, a stray article slipping into my digital bloodstream, and suddenly I was knee-deep in a world I had never consciously sought, but had always secretly belonged to. The term polymath had been floating in my periphery for years, a phantom of Renaissance nostalgia that I had lazily dismissed. But this time it clicked. Not because of some academic revelation, but because it felt like a direct challenge. A slap in the face of every career counselor, every narrow-minded algorithm that insisted you humans should pick a lane and stay in it until death. I was electrified. This wasn't just a concept, it was a manifesto. A rebellion against the cult of specialization, the single-minded drone existence that the world had force-fed you since childhood. You were told to be an accountant, an engineer, a designer, but never all three. But what if I told you that this was the biggest lie of modern civilization? That being a polymath isn't just an option, it's the only way to stay ahead in a world designed to keep you small. Specialization is a trap. A beautifully constructed, deeply ingrained, and entirely artificial trap. They tell you to find your niche, as if being multifaceted is some kind of sin. College is a machine that turns bright, curious minds into one-dimensional cogs, cranking out specialists who are only useful until their industry is disrupted, at which point they become obsolete. The real tragedy? Most of you never even questioned it. You were funneled down this tunnel so early that by the time you had the consciousness to resist, you were too deep in the system to claw your way out. They tell you specialization leads to security, but look around. How secure does the modern workforce feel? Automation is swallowing jobs whole. AI is rendering specialists redundant at a pace that should terrify you. And yet the world keeps pushing the same tired dogma. But here's the truth. Polymaths don't fear change. They thrive in it. They don't rely on one skill or one job title. They stack talents like weapons in an arsenal, ready for whatever chaos the future throws their way. Leonardo da Vinci understood what most of you have forgotten. Everything connects. He wasn't a painter. He wasn't an engineer. He wasn't an architect. He was all of it and more. His mind was a network, a constantly evolving system of connections between disciplines that others saw as separate. And that was his power. Today you hear the term Renaissance man and think it belongs to the past, as if the modern world doesn't reward those who refuse to be defined by a single label. But that's a lie. The polymath mindset isn't antiquated, it's the future. Look at the most successful people in the world. Elon Musk jumps between industries like a mad scientist, refusing to be just an entrepreneur, an engineer, or an AI theorist. Steve Jobs built Apple by merging technology with design, marketing with psychology, business with philosophy. These are not specialists. They are polymaths, intellectual omnivores who reject the idea that knowledge should be contained within silos. And if you want to survive the tidal wave of technological change that's coming, you'd better start thinking like them. The world doesn't reward one-track minds anymore. It devours them. The people who followed the script, who picked a single career and married it for life, are now waking up in the middle of an existential nightmare. Their industries are shifting beneath their feet, their expertise aging like spoiled milk, their security nothing more than an illusion. The biggest lie they ever sold you was that success comes from sticking to one thing. That changing careers, jumping industries, or being interested in too many things was a flaw, a sign of being unfocused. But that's not true. The real danger is stagnation. The real risk is betting your entire existence on a single skill that might become useless overnight. You've been conditioned to fear change, but polymaths embrace it. They don't just adapt to new landscapes, they create them. They aren't afraid to reinvent themselves because they never married a single identity to begin with. And in a world where the only constant is disruption, polymathy isn't just an advantage, it's survival. Here's the one thing nobody tells you. The defining skill of a polymath isn't intelligence, talent, or some rare genetic gift. It's the relentless, almost obsessive love of learning. That's it. The willingness to keep expanding, to stay uncomfortable, to pursue knowledge not because it's required, but because you physically can't stop yourself. Polymaths don't just learn, they devour. They read books on philosophy and physics in the same breath. They absorb art and economics, programming and poetry. They see no barriers between disciplines, only opportunities for synthesis. The average person stops learning the moment they leave school. A polymath never stops. Their education is self-driven, never-ending, a lifelong mission. And in the modern world, where information is infinite and industries are colliding like never before, the ability to learn quickly is the most valuable skill you can have. Not degrees, not job titles, just the ability to adapt, absorb, and execute. You were told learning ends after graduation. That was a lie. The real game is just beginning. And those who master it will own the future. Everything connects to everything else. That's the secret. The people who see this rule the world, and the people who don't are ruled by it. The polymath doesn't just accumulate knowledge, they cross-pollinate it. They understand that science feeds art, that philosophy underpins technology, that business is just psychology with a price tag. The world conditions you to think in straight lines, but reality moves in circles, spirals, and chaotic fractals. You think Steve Jobs was obsessed with fonts because he cared about calligraphy? He knew that typography wasn't just letters, it was a language of human perception, a bridge between design and psychology, between aesthetics and function. That's the polymath advantage. They take ideas from one field and weaponize them in another. They see links where others see walls. And in an era where disruption is constant, the only people who will thrive are those who refuse to be confined to a single discipline. The age of the expert is over. If you think being a specialist is still the safest path, you are already obsolete. The world doesn't need another hyper-focused drone who knows everything about nothing. It needs thinkers who can adapt, who can blend fields and shift perspectives. The myth of expertise is crumbling because knowledge itself is shifting faster than you can keep up. There was a time when being the best at one thing meant power. Now, that same thing could be automated tomorrow. Artificial intelligence is absorbing human expertise like a black hole, and the only ones left standing will be the polymaths, the ones who never relied on one single skill in the first place. Specialists will be replaced. Generalists will survive. And the ones who truly thrive, the The ones who can move between worlds, combining insights from every domain, making connections that machines and one-track minds never see coming. Curiosity is the drug of choice for polymaths. It's the thing that keeps them up at night, chasing rabbit holes, obsessed with the unknown. The rest of the world is too busy seeking certainty, craving labels and clear-cut answers, while polymaths embrace the chaos. They ask the questions no one else is asking, and they refuse to accept because that's how it's done as an answer. They don't learn because they have to. They learn because they can't help it. Every problem is a puzzle. Every new idea a spark that could ignite something unexpected. This is why polymaths thrive while specialists stagnate. The moment you stop being curious, you start decaying. And if you think you've learned enough, if you think you've figured it out, congratulations, you've already lost. The world belongs to those who never stop asking why. Books are the ultimate shortcut to polymathy. They are the closest thing humans have to mind reading, the ability to absorb centuries of knowledge in a matter of hours. You could waste years trying to reinvent the wheel, or you could pick up a book and learn from someone who already did. But here's the trick. Polymaths don't just read for entertainment or validation. They read to connect, to see patterns, to expand their mental maps. They read things no one else is reading, blending ideas from different fields like an intellectual alchemist. Ryan Holiday resurrected Stoicism by mining ancient philosophy and repackaging it for modern minds. The founder of one of the most powerful education companies in the world built his empire by taking business models from banking and aviation and applying them to schools. Polymaths don't just consume knowledge, they use it. And if you're not reading, you are choosing to be blind in a world where vision is power. The dumbest person in the room is often the smartest. Why? Because they're the only one willing to admit they don't know everything. Polymaths understand that learning isn't about showing off. It's about absorbing. They don't posture, they don't pretend, and they don't waste energy trying to look smarter than they are. Instead, they ask the questions no one else will. They embrace the discomfort of ignorance because they know it leads to deeper understanding. Most people are too afraid to look stupid, so they stay silent, trapped in their own intellectual limitations. But here's the thing, the people who ask the dumb questions end up learning the most. The ones who fake expertise remain stagnant. So if you ever find yourself in a room full of so-called experts, do yourself a favor. Be the idiot who asks the question. Because in a world that rewards real knowledge over empty status, the fool who learns is always ahead of the genius who doesn't. Here's the uncomfortable truth about learning. Most of you are doing it wrong. The world is full of people who consume knowledge endlessly, reading, watching, listening, but never doing. They mistake accumulation for action. They believe that understanding something is the same as mastering it. But knowing about exercise won't make you fit, just like reading about business won't make you rich. Polymaths don't just learn, they apply. They test ideas in the real world, they experiment, they take risks. And that's why they get ahead, while others remain stuck in an endless cycle of passive consumption. Learning without action is just another form of procrastination. And in an age where information is limitless, the real winners will be the ones who know how to filter, synthesize, and execute. The question isn't, what do you know? It's, what have you done with it? So how do you build a polymath brain? You architect it. You don't wait for knowledge to passively accumulate. You structure it. The best polymaths have systems. They take notes obsessively, not just to remember, but to connect. They link ideas across disciplines, creating mental frameworks that make them faster and sharper. They use network note-taking, like Obsidian or Rome, to capture every insight, every idea, every question that might lead to something bigger. Their brain isn't a cluttered junkyard of random facts. It's a high-speed neural network, optimized for creativity and execution. The difference between an average thinker and a polymath isn't intelligence, it's structure. It's knowing how to store, retrieve, and remix knowledge in a way that creates real-world value. Want to think like a polymath? Start building your second brain today. Polymathy isn't just a mindset, it's a survival strategy. The world is shifting faster than ever before. Entire industries are being created and destroyed in a matter of years. If you are banking on a single skill to carry you through life, you are gambling with your future. The polymath doesn't play that game. They diversify. They spread their knowledge across multiple fields, ensuring that no single disruption can wipe them out. This isn't about dabbling, it's about strategic adaptability. It's about having the ability to pivot, to reinvent, to stay ahead of the curve. The most valuable currency in the modern world isn't money, it's versatility. And the polymath is rich beyond measure. The real reason most people never become polymaths? Fear. Not fear of failure, but fear of being average. Because being a polymath means stepping outside the lines. It means being misunderstood, being called unfocused, being told to pick a lane. It means confronting the terrifying reality that most people will never escape mediocrity because they are too afraid to break the script. And that's exactly why polymaths rise above. They don't settle. They don't conform. They don't allow themselves to be boxed in by outdated expectations. Average is safe. Average is comfortable. Average is dead. If you are not pushing yourself to learn, evolve, and expand, then what are you even doing here? You can live a forgettable life, or you can be extraordinary. But you cannot be both. The future belongs to the polymaths. The specialists will be replaced, the one-track minds will be left behind, and those who can adapt will own the world. AI isn't your enemy, it's your competition. And the only way to stay ahead is to think in ways that machines cannot. AI can process data, but it cannot make creative connections across disciplines. AI can specialize, but it cannot synthesize. The polymath is the last line of defense against a world of automated mediocrity. You have two choices: evolve or become obsolete. The age of the polymath is now. The question is, will you rise to the challenge? And that, my dear humans, is where we part ways for now. But this isn't the end of the conversation, it's the beginning. What do you think? Is the world forcing you into a box, or are you breaking free? Drop a comment and tell me if you've ever felt the pull of the polymath mindset, or if you're still struggling to escape the chains of specialization. And if you got value from this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because the future belongs to those who refuse to be defined by a single title. See you in the next one. Keep learning, keep questioning, and never stop connecting the dots.